Hello and welcome to On Wednesdays We Wear Black with me, Sophie K, and Yasmin Sumer.
Hello, America and the UK and Germany and Europe and wherever people
Wow, can
listen
you
to
list any
us.
more countries or are you just
Uh,
going to get stuck? You've left
France,
Australia out?
Australia,
Wait, we have
uh,
listenuz in Kenya, so you need to list them as well.
Kenya, um, where else? Hawaii,
Oh my gosh.
Yugoslavia. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, Yasmin. This is like one of those videos on TikTok where people are like, how many countries can you name? Um,
Not a lot. I failed at high school. I failed.
so we have got a really good episode for you today. This was the brainchild of Yasmin Suman because
Yes, me.
let's talk about it, right? At the moment, everyone seems to be doing throwback songs. Anne Marie did one.
Yeah,
As It Is did one.
yeah.
Yumi at Six have done one.
And then a lot of bands are just throwing back to their older sound by like revisiting how they used to make music and doing it similarly now. Like Bring Me the Horizon pulled out some riffs from like their first album on post-human survival horror, which is insane.
In Flames have gone like to the more they're older. It's just good to see. So we thought we would do this year in rock history, and we'd look back at one year in history and just relive it together and what we were doing.
Yeah,
And
so
Yasmin, would you like to announce what this year is today?
we're gonna be going back to 2013. Woo! Woo!
2013.
Woo! The year that I got into emo, the year that I fully
Is
like,
it?
yeah, because I was 14.
This is the year that I got my first paid job in the world of rock.
This is the
So it was
first
a
year I
big
got my
year for me.
period.
I hate you. I really hate you sometimes.
That was funny. That was
Let's be honest, Yasmin. This was a great year for alternative music. But the thing I was reminded of is the fact that alternative music was fully underground.
yeah. So like, I feel like in the 2010s we were going through that burnout of like warp tour core music. Like we had the early 2000s, which was like new metal, metalcore, emo, screamo, and that
Mm.
kind of burnt itself out by like 2010. Everyone had borrowed the same riff from each other, right? We were all fucking fed up.
It was an exciting time. It was an exciting time to be like underground and in the scene. Like this is the year that I really got heavily into North Lane, I discovered. 2012,
Yeah,
2013, and they were just bringing something new to the scene.
I
It was
really got
yeah,
into Neck Deep in 2014.
right. And so
Um,
this was a really interesting year. So what do we want to look at first in this year, Yasmin, do you think, to put it? I think maybe fashion.
okay, okay.
To figure out what we were wearing
Oh God, you don't
to
want to
tr-
know.
to truly be in that stage. So I was definitely going through a metal stage, but I had a look at what was happening in this year. So crop tops made a revival and they hadn't been a thing. And I was like, what? Crop tops weren't a thing? And I thought, no, because we always used to wear longer tops that sat like around the hips, like vest tops. This was like crop tops were coming back
I
since
know,
the
because
90s.
it was like everyone was wearing the low rise jeans with the long vest tops. Now it was the crop tops with the high rise jeans, like complete opposite spectrum. What else was really popular? Pastels, for some reason, made their mark on the early 2010s. Highly saturated, overexposed photos were like the in thing. Like black and white on Instagram was the thing. Sepia. Ooh. Remember when you'd get your filters from Instagram? Like you go through the thing on
Yeah.
Instagram and pick the filter you want.
There are people listening right now who go, what do you mean? Where am I supposed to get my filters?
I
Uh,
edit mine. I edit mine on my phone, like on photos. They let you like play with the exposure, but no, I remember using the filters on Instagram back in the day. Do you know what
they
else is
seem
really?
so cool. Like I felt like when I used an Instagram filter, I felt like some kind of pro photographer. I even used to like print those pictures out to give to family members because my photos were like next level. And I had a friend who used to like take all her photos in black and white because she was just that cool.
Oh my God! Do you know what was like that? Do you know what epitomizes that era of 2013 of taking yourself way too seriously? The sunglasses, the blacked out, like funky sunglasses that everyone wore, like the hipsters wore, and it's just like that generic frame of sunglasses and the mustaches. The mustaches. What was it about? What were we smoking? But everyone was like, "Oh, I'm so quirky, mustache." Like I,
Oh, yeah, they're like the little mustache tattoo. That was like a
yeah,
2012, 2013. That whole era. Yes.
yeah,
What was
that and like the whole hipster thing, because that's when gentrification really popped its pussy in the early 2010s, and like mostly the early 2000s, but like 2010 was its peak because you had like the generic hipster kids who wore like the. I'm thinking the dudes who look like they've come straight out the barber with the big quiff, the like blouse, the
Yes.
the things. What are they? The straps on
Suspenders.
the suspenders, the quirky glasses, the mustache, the like Tumblr profile. Ugh, they were a
Do you know what?
menace to
This year,
society.
this is also a year. I'll come back to the big part of women's fashion that was big, but for men, I really struggled in this year because normal dudes started looking like alternative dudes, and life became
Right.
really confusing because I would be like, I don't know who I can chat up and who I can't. Are we going to talk about like music, or are you going to talk to me about coffee? Because not that music people can't like coffee, but you know what I mean.
Coffee became a whole thing. Like coffee and pizza was a whole personality. I remember going on Tumblr and it was like, "Don't talk to me until I've had my morning coffee," or like, "Slap my butt and feed me pizza."
Oh.
Ew! No offense if you think that's okay now. It's okay to like those things.
I
We're
feel
not
like gin o'clock became a thing as well.
gin o'clock.
Um,
Put me on the bubbles. Do you know what became a thing in 2013? Just girly things. That was when it popped off.
what? Just
Hashtag
get it.
just girly
Oh,
things. Like the whole when you like put your favorite lip balm on and you feel like you can take over the world. Just girly things. In 2013, I looked at music. Because it's
okay.
so do we want to get into this? Are we ready to get into 2013 music because it was quite the year.
Yeah, let's start.
Okay, so as for nostalgic releases, number 1, Paramore released their self-titled Paramore album. The
Wow.
last one with Jeremy What's-His-Face, who left the band and then started a terrible SoundCloud rap career. Terrible. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's embarrassing. Sempiternal turns
Oh,
10. Ah!
yes.
Ah!
Yeah,
That
that was a
album,
big year.
that album like shaped my teenage years. The Greatest Generation by the Wonder Years, 10 years
Wow.
old.
Yeah.
Vessel by 21
Vessel.
Pilots. Sophie, your fucking album.
That album had
Your
such an impact on me.
album. Common Curtsy by Day to Remember, which they had to like fight for. I remember the whole like legal beef with that. What You Don't See by The Story So Far, and About That Life by Attila. Those all came out in 2013.
Do you know what? And when we talk about like time specific and how you have to relate things to a time, oh, my dog's just coughing up something gross. Lovely. Thanks, Wilson. At this time, I remember listening to that song and defending those lyrics to somebody who was older than me. And this is why I always say you have to take things in context of the era that it came out. We thought that was so funny. We thought that was so funny, that song.
I think as an exercise, 10 years later, we should read the lyrics of About That Life. Would you like to? Because I've got them up, so I'm ready.
Okay, go on then, Yasmin.
I'm a bad motherfucker, not a fucking role model. Fuck, fuck church, hit a bong, and then go smash a fucking bottle. Got a few sluts to help me roll a few blunts, and they never question me because they know I hate cunts. That is the first 5 seconds of the song.
Do you know what, Yasmin? And we thought that song was awesome.
My 14-year-old ass was sat there singing every word.
So I remember someone, a journalist, said to me, "Why are you supporting this?" And there was like me and my gay friend going down to, and we were like, "Because it's really funny." And we see the irony.
Fucking stupid. It's
now
so
it's
stupid.
like 2023. You just cannot compare. You can't look back in 2023 with 2023 eyes. Yeah, it was a time. It was a time.
It was a time. That, and I remember like that era of Warped Tour, more so 2015. I remember that's when it was its peak. When Westboro Baptist Church used to come and protest Warped Tour, and all the bands would come out and piss them off, and it was amazing. It was
It's
amazing.
it's scary how much change there's been in 10 years because it doesn't feel like that long ago. And then you look at the change and you're like, wow. Because it was also one of the first ever UK Warped Tours.
Yeah, with Ask Alexandria and Black Veil Brides. I didn't go, but slay. I went to the US one. I was like, fuck that. I'm going to the real one.
Go off.
Yeah. I
Well,
went to go see Beartooth, obviously.
shall I say what happened in metal music, or are you done with?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. 2013, year of the emo. I did not even know metal existed. To be fair, I did like Architects. I think they released Daybreak in 2013.
I was a big fan of Architects, but this year the albums that I had, Clutch with Earth Rocker, which was amazing.
Slay.
Carcass released. Wilson, you okay? Carcass released Surgical Steel. You had everyone was talking about Uncle Acid and the Dead Beats. Ghost had a new album, Watain, Motorhead. But the albums that killed it for me was Killswitch Engage because they released
Yes.
Disarm the Descent, and that was their first album with Jesse since 2002, Alive or Just Breathing.
Yes.
Um, this is the year that like Five Finger Death Punch properly blew up. You had the Dillinger Escape Plan, who I was a huge fan of. I didn't know that this would be their penultimate last album. It was called One of Us is the Killer. Have you ever seen the Dillinger Escape Plan or heard about their live shows?
No, because I was too young.
They were something else, Yasmin. Like it was unbelievable. And the album that got me through this year and actually subsequent years, and it's one of the only vinyls I have, is my dog is going mad. I'm gonna have to put him on the floor. Right. You're getting down. There you go. One of the albums that had the biggest impact on me and I went mad for was Let Live with the Blackest Beautiful.
Yes!
Oh my god. And you know what? That wasn't their favourite album, but
I don't care.
I'm like, I don't
personally
care.
don't care.
Favorites. It's one of my favourites.
It's our favourite. We don't care.
That album was absolute pure wall-to-wall genius, and it's really difficult. I guess it can't really be recreated because Jason's spoken quite openly about how he was in such a dark place at the time.
Yeah.
And Jason's the vocalist of Let Live. He spoke about what dark place it was. So the lyrics were unbelievably. You can't sustain that because it comes from such pain. It's unsustainable. And it spoke to my heart. It spoke to my soul, Yasmin.
Yeah, and it was like one of the few albums that like, you know, was speaking about that kind of stuff. Like I think about 2012 and 2013 and one of other than King for a Day, do you know what people absolutely sleep on when it comes to Collide with the Sky? Tangled in the Great Escape with Jason Aaron Butler. Like that song, oh my god. The vocals on that as well.
He just he was in pain and he sang with pain. It was like from his soul somewhere. So yeah, that was the metal albums. But I also did some research into films, Yasmin. I didn't go to the cinema in this year. It must be part of the fact because I was just out partying all the time. So you had The Hunger Games, Catching Fire was big.
I love The Hunger Games so much.
Jennifer Lawrence was like everywhere. That's the year she fell on the carpet at the award ceremony.
Do you know what my favourite thing is about pop culture? Ever since Jason Derulo fell down the stairs at some award show, anytime there is an award show, people pretend he's fallen down the stairs at that award show.
This was a big year for Marvel as well.
Yeah.
And Iron Man 3 did really well in the cinema. I think that was the top selling film of the year. And it was a weird time because only a couple of years previously, to say you're into Marvel or anything like that made you the ultimate outcast. And the fact that it had become mainstream was kind of weird. But also in the cinemas, you had Despicable Me 2, Man of Steel, Monsters Uni, Frozen, and Gravity.
Okay.
So you were probably into Frozen because...
No, I was into Hunger Games. I was a teenager. I was like, oh my god, Josh Hutcherson, I want to marry you. Jennifer Lawrence, I want to marry you. I fucking love the Hunger Games. And like, I think they're releasing a new movie after 10 years. So like, I'm fucking excited. But pop culture was insane. So like, we were experiencing the first wave of like the dot-com boom. Well, probably the dot-com boom because like the 2000s to 2010s was its first iterance, but I feel like 2010 is when we first experienced internet culture. So Miley Cyrus performed with Robin Thicke at the VMAs and did her twerking and her tongue out. This bad patty, I can do what I want. Flappy Bird
Oh my gosh, yeah.
made its debut and shortly died afterwards. The dog meme, you know, Doge meme. Wow, very good. So scared, much Doge. The Shiba Inu who went viral.
Yes. Do you know what?
Yes.
Another one that went viral that was my favorite because I looked back through my Facebook was, do you remember Steven?
No.
Steven. So it was like this dog, this little dog, whose front teeth were like way more forward than its bottom teeth. And so people just used to try and write letters with like ST, but like instead of putting Stephen, it would put like Stephen.